In this video, I'm going to talk about the truth behind book marketing companies. And I say this as somebody who runs a book marketing company. So you may be thinking, why would I listen to this guy? Uh, but please stay with me for at least the first 2 minutes, and hopefully I can convince you why you should. Hello, my name is Bennett. I have a PhD in social psychology and an undergrad in marketing. For the past 15 years or so, I've been helping thousands of authors publish and market their books. And I could do the same for you through our company, BookMarketing.pro. All right, so I'll say it right off the bat, most book marketing companies are full of crap. Um, Myself, not included. Okay. I try to be as straightforward with clients as possible. In fact, we have a published page on our website that's called The Risks and Rewards of Book Publish and Marketing. And this is what I kind of want to talk to you about today, because this is something that publishers or marketers who want your money won't tell you because they want to take your money first. And this definitely will keep a lot of people from throwing a lot of money at book marketing initially. All right, so let me start with some of the misconceptions. There are so many what I call book bros out on the internet who will say, "Hey, I wrote this book and let me show you I made $20,000 in 1 month." And they'll show you these screen captures of these images and you're like, "Wow, that's awesome." And then they say, "And you could do it too. Just, give me money and I'll tell you how, or subscribe to my videos and let me keep on leaking a little information," or whatever. Um, if Think about it. I know if I were making $20,000 per month per book, I would just keep on doing that. Not to sound like a greedy person who wants all the wealth and fame for myself, but yeah, really, I wouldn't be wasting my time making these videos trying to get a few bucks here and there from people on buying my course or buying my book on how to do it or whatever. I would just keep on doing it myself. Why? Well, it's a zero sum game. The more other people are doing better and selling more books, the less of the chance that you will. So by sharing your secret, how to make $20,000 a month per book, you're basically uh, cutting your own financial lifeline there. So immediately that doesn't pass the sniff test, and it shouldn't for you. I don't know what the story is behind every one of these book bros and what the deal is. Maybe they just like got lucky once and now they're trying to sell you something that's not going to work. All I do know is that for with all the authors that I worked with, they always come back to me saying that they followed these people, they tried these strategies, and they just don't work. They don't work for a myriad of reasons, but they don't. So here's the deal. I've written over 13 books exactly. Well, it depends on how you define a book. I've written smaller books that I actually don't count. Let's forget about that. I've written 13 books over the past 10 years or so. And out of those 13 books, as somebody who has a PhD in social psychology, who kind of knows consumer behavior, somebody with an advanced degree in marketing, and somebody who's been in the industry for over 15 years and running a company about publishing and marketing, those 13 books that I've written, one does extremely well. It's called Logically Fallacious, and that's pretty much been a bestseller for many, many years. There's a couple that I have that do what I would consider very well. Um, I get many sales per month, and I don't know how much exactly in revenue. Probably like a couple $100s per book, and that's pretty darn good. And then the rest of them, they just like trickle in, sales trickle in. Now you're thinking, well, wow, if this guy can't get a book to sell, then how am I supposed to do it? It's not necessarily about the marketing techniques. It's also a lot has to do with the book. I mentioned in other videos about the marketability of a book, and that's kind of the big thing. You have to make sure that the book's good enough, and then you have to make sure that it's marketable. Now, you cannot predict the marketability of a book, unfortunately. You could try, but very often you're wrong. There are so many stories of publishers that have turned down, like J.K. Rowling and her books, the Harry Potter series, and all of these books that are like amazingly huge bestsellers because they didn't think they had potential. It's extremely difficult to tell unless you actually put it out there, enough people read it, and you see how the market responds. The only way to do that reliably is by putting money into marketing. To get your book in front of readers who are actually going to read your book and blog about it, talk about it on podcasts, share it, whatever. That's the only way to find out if your book is going to take off organically. And that's kind of the goal. You don't want to have to keep on putting money into advertising in order to sell some books because that's almost certainly a long term losing strategy. You want your book to take off organically. You want people to read it, to talk about it, and share it. And that grows exponentially. And that's how you get an authentic bestseller. That's kind of the goal. So the point here is you need to know how the market's going to respond to your book. And the only way to really do this is by putting money into it. Some companies will tell you, like, look, we've got this $5,000 marketing package, $10,000 marketing package. This is what it's going to take to really get your book out there. Don't fall for that. Most likely, that amount of money from a self-published author is a lot of money. It's a lot of money to risk. I I have a different strategy, and my strategy is it depends on how much risk you're willing to take. For some people, let's face it, some people, $3,000, putting $3,000 into a marketing package is nothing. They've got a lot of money. They've invested a lot of time writing their book, and $3,000 they're willing to throw in there and just see what happens. Great. I'm happy to take your $3,000. We have marketing packages that are around that price point, so that works just fine. But really, for the majority of authors, they don't have that kind of money to risk. Maybe a couple $100. That's fine. So I would suggest to them start small. Start with a proven promotion, something that's like sub $100, and see how the market responds to that promotion. If you see some good traction, you get some good feedback, then great, put some more money, put another $100 in, put $200 in, and kind of build up that way. You don't need to drop $3,000 to see if your book is going to do well. You could really get a pretty good sample size from a couple $100 in promotion, like in different types of proven promotions. That will give you enough confidence to say, okay, maybe this book isn't very marketable, or maybe for whatever reason, this isn't going to take off. But on the other hand, it could take off. And you never know until you do it. That's the unfortunate part. You can't just put your book out there and assume that people are going to stumble upon it and buy it. You need to actually market it. And that's extremely important. So the big question is, how much are you willing to invest? What's your tolerance for risk? Is it sub $100, or is it a couple few $1,000s, whatever? Wherever it is, that's where you pick a point. But just know that if anybody tries to convince you that you need to drop those big bucks into your promotion, then they're almost certainly trying to con you or scam you to some degree. You should be able to have the opportunity and the flexibility of starting small and seeing how it goes from there. So at BookMarketing.pro, we offer promotions from $50, again, up to packages that include many promotions for a couple $1,000s. So you could fall anywhere between that range and start where you're comfortable, and that's what we suggest.